Hey, WP Fusion fans, it's Emily and Katie coming to you live again. We're on episode 7 of our series talking about how to build a website from scratch with WP Fusion, email marketing integrated from the start, and build a website that really supports a business and a brand on top of WordPress, WP Fusion, and we're using Groundhog for our tutorials. But welcome, Katie, to the show. Do you want to intro us to what we're talking about today?
Absolutely. Thanks, Emily. Nice to see everybody. Today, we will be talking about websites that offer multiple services. Pretty exciting.
Yeah, and so what services are we going to be adding to your website?
All right, there's like a couple of them, but let's just focus on two. Initially, the website is for being a grief coach slash death doula, and some additional resources slash offerings that I wanted to put on there had to do with meditations that I recorded, and you could see them right here. Thanks, Emily. And then the other is my tarot reading. So these can be combined, but they also are separate offerings, and I wanted to show sort of the robust nature of the services that I offer, and that if someone wanted, they could take advantage of them.
Yeah, yeah, and I know one of the website examples that we're using is Rainbow Doula in Berlin, and so having a website that successfully offers multiple services is so elusive feeling because I know a lot of people in this industry and in other industries who are offering multiple services that don't exactly appeal to the same audiences all the time. Sometimes there's overlap, but sometimes there's not. So there's a lot of strategy that we're going to have to really look at who is successfully offering multiple services and how do they structure those offerings. WP Fusion allows you to really segment the back end of your CRM so that you have different segmentation on users who are interested in different services, users who might be interested in your overlapping services. You can customize messaging to reach both of those audiences or only one of those audiences. That's going to be really important for us. So segmenting your audience appropriately when offering multiple services to potentially different audiences, as well as managing the overlap, is really what WP Fusion is going to help us do, because we can more closely track the customer interaction people have on our website. And from that closer tracked interaction, we'll be able to give people the appropriate services much more easily. And so looking at how a successful use case offers multiple services, we really have to structure our menus around ourselves. I know Katie's building themselves a brand that is kind of a personal brand. It's a lot of what they're interested in, but things like mission, experience, and things that are relevant to your brand specifically, as well as like an overview of the work that you do and what kind of content you have, is really a good way to think about it. So for us, we have 2 YouTube channels. That's what we're working with right now. 2 YouTube channels that we're working on growing an audience with, seeing what the pickup is, and creating a bunch of resources that we can use later down the line in courses, free lead magnets, etc. So with the idea that we have 2 YouTube channels right now and that we might have multiple services, maybe we'll start with like a videos tab or a channels tab with our 2 resources as drop downs. What do you think about that, Katie?
I like that idea. I think having these resources as accessible as possible is where I want to start. And then, just kind of brainstorming the space, these then will become additional services that are paid that folks can interact with. But initially, getting out these sort of lead magnets in their own way, ways in which people can see what I do and what it looks like, is sort of my main goal in engaging people initially.
Yeah. No, that's a great goal. And there are multiple ways to break this down. I want to highlight for people who might consider multiple options. If I pull up a Canva instance right here. Nope. Let me get Canva over on my screen. So within Canva, I'll lay out kind of a couple ways that we could lay this out. Because these menus are always going to be hierarchies, and these can also change over time. And I do recommend that they do change over time. But if we have our channels or videos, and then within this sub menu, we would have our tarot channel, and then we would have our grief guide channel. So within this main heading, we have a couple of channels drop down. And then theoretically, we would have a second item that was services. And then on our services, we would have get into grief coaching and then additional services over time. Sir, I'm so slow to type. There we go.
You're going pretty fast. I'm not sure what you mean by that.
Let's see, there we go. Thank you. So this could be like our menu. Our main area says videos and our second area says services. If you hover over them, you get the appropriate drop downs. But another way to look at this might be to say, like, what if this is our grief work? And then another way to look at this would be, what about our mystical? And then within our mystical work, you can either check out our YouTube tarot, or you can get the download or book a consult, or something like that. And then within our grief work, you can check out the Grief Guide channel. You can download the 7 grief steps, etc. So like there's a couple ways we could break this down. And so the way that we see that they're breaking it down here is they have their work and their videos in kind of this style that we see on top here. But do either of these specifically appeal to you? Do you prefer grief work, mystical work, and then all the resources for the appropriate one? Or do you prefer kind of this more general look at things?
I think that's a great question. Yeah, I think let's do the. Okay, here's a question I have is if we go for the latter option, the one on the bottom, we then could also have the additional column where all of the paid offerings are listed as well, right?
Yeah, we could totally, because like the menus are totally free form, so we could have.
Okay, so this makes sense. It's like, because then there could be a grief session, a tarot session, or a meditation session that folks could sign up for that would be linked to my store.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I like this. Yeah, I kind of like the bottom. It's a little more work. So, we could do the top one for time's sake, but if we have time to do the bottom one, that would be the better option, I think.
No, I'm happy with this one. I think for a website like this, it looks like they're offering 4 different types of work, just looking at the top line menu. And so for us right now, it looks like we're looking at maybe 2 types of work, the grief work and the mystical work, as well as our paid offerings. If we were to get into that range of having 4 or 5 works, this would start to get pretty crowded. So like our organizational structure may change over time, but I think for the type of work we're offering now, this is perfect.
Okay, cool.
And so our menu was pretty general at the top, and I do much prefer for 2 types of offerings to have it split up this way. So let's create our menus. So for now, we'll add a custom link that is null, that says grief work, and then what do you want to call this one?
That's a great question. Let's call it mystical work for now. Maybe I'll workshop that later, but I kind of like it. People will understand what's going on there.
Yeah. And so now that we have grief work and mystical work, we can work with things from there. And since we work at WP Fusion, this is a good thing to highlight. Like we can have menu items that display conditionally based on if you have tags in the CRM. So if it's like your meditations or something, if it's like custom to the user, we could say like only show the your meditations link to people who have purchased a meditation.
Cool.
Stuff like that. So we can really change the user experience based on tags. And we'll get into that down the line where we're modifying our menus based on what conditions the users have. And so we can work through that. So we have grief work and we have mystical work. So meditations. Oh, and then paid services. That was the thing. Paid. We'll call it services.
Great.
And so we have our 3 tabs here at the bottom. I'll reorganize this a little bit so meditations can go into services. Oh, we have services here too. About, I might put about here, and I can't put it there, put it there.
Maybe we could rename that my mission or my, I don't know.
Yeah, the about page. I like mission.
Or I mean, that service column could be renamed something different too. Oh, I see what you're doing. Never mind. Don't pay attention to me. I like this. This is good.
No problem. I'm just dissolving this one a little bit.
I smell what you're stepping in now.
Yeah, or reorganizing your WordPress menus, especially in this way, is a little bit clunky, but it's kind of the way that we've been taught to do it by the WordPress gods.
The WordPress gods. We must listen.
We must listen. Open ears. Okay, so we have services, meditations, and case studies. So we can add more services later. When it comes to mystical work, what does Get the Resource promote us to? I forgot.
I think that is the 7 questions for the grief. So that was the one we created for our lead magnet 2 sessions ago, which was basically a very small grief journal.
Yeah, that sounds great. I'm going to write it down here so that we know what it is. Cool. And I definitely encourage people, especially building WordPress websites with marketing as such a big 7 questions to gently hold your loss. 7 questions to gently hold your loss. Like, you don't have to worry and put a lot of pressure on yourself of like, I literally just wrote a sentence on that page and it looks really weird. Like, this is not a great opt-in, but like we're making progress. We're moving in the right direction. That's all we need to do. So now that we know we have 7 questions to gently hold your loss, we're going to put that's in grief work. And then we might say, what are the 7 questions? And maybe we spell questions correctly. There we go. And so what are the 7 questions? That's a little more provocative than Get the Resource. Blog subscribe now looks great. We have mission. Contact might come here. It could also come in services. It could come in grief work. So maybe we'll just put the contact page in multiple locations. That's one thing I think is underrated, is people putting menu items in multiple locations.
Cool.
So we have contact. Go ahead.
Maybe we could also have a general contact button in the menu as well, like at the very end after services, that it could also be there on.
Sure. There we go. So that'll put that there.
Many opportunities to contact as possible.
Yes. And if that's what we're really pushing people towards, I would imagine this is going to wrap to a couple lines.
I see. Well, maybe we don't do that then. I'll think about it.
Yeah, we could put, we have home, mission, blog. I like blog and subscribe now. But theoretically, we could split the blog as well. We could have posts that are about grief and posts that are about tarot content or mystical content.
I like that.
And so we have category reflection. So it looks like these are going to be on our grief meditation area.
Exactly.
So that's going to be, let's put our subscribe now on our grief and meditation area, grief work. And then blog can come here. I want blog to be a item, and then subscribe now to the blog, and then contact can be where it's at. Okay, great. So let's see if that condensed a little bit. So blog should be now under grief work. That looks pretty good.
Nice.
And we'll work on spacing a little bit over time. If we could condense one more item, I think we would be in good shape. Home should probably stay. I like mission. I might just ditch contact.
Mission. Could we put the mission underneath home?
We could. Would that? Yeah. Let's put that there. And then let's see. Mission under home should bring us to one line, and we have this little cart on the second line. That's okay. Because we could literally adjust our heading font by like a little bit, and things would be okay. I think for now we should probably leave it like this, but I like where we're at. We're now categorizing our website by the type of work we do, and we could probably be more organized about it, but we're thinking in terms of like what services are people selecting that they're interested in, and what do we want to provide to them accordingly. Um, in addition, we have our homepage content, and what you do with your homepage content is going to be super duper important. So if I go back to Rainbow Doula Berlin here, we can see what did they choose to do with their homepage. There's a pop-up. We'll get into pop-ups too. We can do like offers with WP Fusion. We can do pop-ups depending on if you have certain tags, you could get a pop-up. And so there's some deep integration we can do there. But this looks like together we can birth a better world, become a doula, heal yourself. Yeah, so it looks like we are talking about a lot of services that we offer here. So it's sort of like a and then we have social media icons. We have sort of the work in action. And so I really like the direction that we're at here. So over time, if you can find a picture of you doing work in action, which may just be like a cool screenshot from one of your tarot videos, it might be like a meditation, like you meditating or something. So like an action shot would be cool to put on the homepage. And then also it looks like what we're going to be doing. I would recommend to this person too to put a call to action right there. Like there should be a big button that says, do what I want you to do, which is that. But I really like talk about each service, show an action shot, show some social media.
Cool.
And yeah, I would assume that for us, what we might be doing if we were to implement like a light version of this would be, let me get a cool, like you're like, when I hover over this YouTube thumbnail, you're like in it, you're doing it. And I really like that. Let's look, these ones are more like guided meditations where it's just voice, right?
Yeah. So maybe I could film a tarot session or preliminary grief session with somebody, and that might be the best way to go about it.
I think it probably is. And like even like a little tall screenshot of you right there holding a card or something. But yeah, if you could get like a cool photo of yourself, that would be dope. And then holding the ache grief guide. So probably what we would do for a light version of this is drop below our info box with some social icons. Let's jump in here. And so what social icons are we going to put in? We want a YouTube, and we want a YouTube because we have two YouTubes. And then can we put little labels on this? It's not doing anything. Can I show text? Great. That's exactly what I want.
Nice.
And then here we can say, Pomegranate Bones Tarot. I have too many tabs open. No, that's the tab I wanted to keep open. The first one I tried to close. This is Pomegranate Bones Tarot. And then that looks great. And then where's my link? There's the link. Let's drop a link. I think for brands like this, it's also awesome that you have these social links, because people might find you and they're like, I'm not ready to hire someone. I'm not even looking to hire someone. And it doesn't look like there's an opportunity for me to join an email list with what I'm looking at right now. So we might have a little bit of an advantage with WP Fusion to subscribe people to our email list. But the second most popular thing is like, get me on Instagram, get me on YouTube, and then your content will start to show up in their feed. And then we'll get them back to the website later, and they'll already have had one touch point with you. I don't remember if we've ever talked about this on a live, but that you usually need about 8 touch points before somebody is ready to pay you money. And so first touch point is they find your website, or maybe first touch point is they find your YouTube, find your website, subscribe over to your Instagram, see you on Instagram again, and then like one of your stories. And then, we'll move up to 8. But once they're at about 8, you can start asking them for money and it'll start to work.
Super helpful.
And so let's see, let's call this. Perfect. And then, Do you have any other socials yet, or are these the main ones that we want?
I have an Instagram, but it's not ready yet. There's not anything on it, but we do have it. So let me see if I can link it for you.
Cool.
Boom, boom, boom. Dun, 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 dun.
Sure. Top. It's here. Save. Reload. And so, yeah, we can always add and remove these social media icons, but let me see if I can increase the text size of these. These are such a small text size. Style. Do I have typography? Color. I got color, background, style, spill shape. I don't know if I can increase my text size. We could do that later. Oh, size. Large. We did. Did you find that Instagram?
I did, and I'm sorry it's taking me a second.
No, you're okay.
Here we go. Share the at holding the egg. Let me see. Like Instagram makes you sign in if you want to go to a page, which is just so annoying. But I think I can pull it should just be Instagram. I think that should be it. It's in their little private chat in the.
Let's go here, Instagram, bam, bam. Save. And so over time, we'll improve our social icons, but for now, we have our essentials. So if people come to our site, they will see our call to action button. And then what we might add here is more of a description of what we do. So I know that this is an info box, and info box is a little bit restrictive for what I want to do. So maybe we will break our info box into a text, like a paragraph, and we'll say, this is what we do. And then we'll add that text. We'll put a call to action button beneath it. And then our call to action button right now says explore. We'll improve that text over time too. But we can then kind of break away from this info box, which I think is a little bit restrictive. But let's see. Can I do no call to action? Save, reload. Probably a little cramped, but we're entering the right direction. We're moving in a direction where people will come to our homepage. They'll see right at the top line menu a little bit more about what we do, how they can get involved with our work. They can follow us on social media if they want to learn different things from us, and then they have an overview about what we do and a call to action if they want to take action right now, which they probably don't. And so knowing that they probably don't want to take action, we'll give them something easy, like a get the free resource or get the 7 questions for grief, or really maybe just like Meet Katie would be like a video or a page where you can talk about yourself and what you do. That might be the call to action on the homepage. But
cool.
We've started to shape the product around offering multiple services. And from here, we can move into our future streams. I think next week we're doing cart abandonment recovery. So because we offer multiple services, we have our free resources available here, but we also have some WooCommerce products that we've been creating, or not WooCommerce, sorry, we're on SureCart. We have some SureCart products. And we've talked a little bit about the SureCart products that we have here, but now we have the basic infrastructure to start to be able to offer multiple paid items within our website, and it's clear enough that people will understand how to get involved for free with each of those topics. And now we'll add on next week's stream how to get involved in a paid way with each of those topics. or what the next steps are to enter the pipeline. And then we'll tie them into WP Fusion via product purchases, via interest tags, like people are interested in tarot, people are interested in the grief coaching. We'll know that. WP Fusion will tell Groundhog that, and then we'll send people emails appropriately.
Cool. I'm super excited. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited too. But thank you everyone for joining us today. Join us next week, same time, and for episode 8. And we hope to see you on then. Have a good weekend and have a good rest of your week.
See y'all.